Could Jesus sin or not? There are two sides to this interesting question. It is important to keep in mind that it does not address whether Jesus sinned at all. The Bible clearly states that Jesus did not sin. For he made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, that we might become the righteousness of God in him. Who committed no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth. The question is whether Jesus was capable of sin. There are those who believe that Jesus could not sin. Others believe that Jesus could have sinned, but he did not. Which view is correct? The clear teaching of Scripture is that Jesus was perfect. He could not sin. If he could sin then, he could sin now, because he retains the same nature he had on earth. He is God-man, and will always be so. To believe that Jesus could sin is to believe that God could sin. For it pleased the Father that in him all the fullness of the Godhead should dwell. For in him dwells all the fullness of the Godhead bodily. Even though Jesus was fully human, he was not born with the same sinful nature that we are born with. He was certainly tempted in the same way that we are, in that temptations were presented to him by Satan, but he remained sinless because God is incapable of sin. This is contrary to his character. Sin, by definition, is a violation of the law. God made the law, and by its very nature, it reflects what God will or will not do. Thus, sin is something that would be contrary to the very nature of God. Being tempted is not sin in itself. A person can tempt you to do something that you do not want to do. You probably had no desire to participate in these actions, but you were tempted anyway because someone offered you the opportunity. When you think about a sinful act in detail and consider how you could carry it out, you have crossed the line into sin. Satan suggested some sinful actions to Jesus, but Jesus had no inner desire to participate in the sin. So he was tempted just as we are, but he remained sinless. Some people think that if Jesus did not sin, then he did not experience a real test, and therefore cannot truly sympathize with our struggles with temptation and sin. We must remember that you do not have to have experience with something to understand it. God knows all about everything. Although God never had a desire to sin, and certainly never sinned, he knows and understands what sin is. God knows and understands what it is to be tempted. Jesus can sympathize with our temptations because he knows, not because he has experienced everything we have. Jesus knows what it is to be tempted, but he does not know what sin is. This does not prevent him from helping us. We are tempted by sins that are common to all men. These sins can be divided into three different types: things that the flesh lusts after, things that the eyes desire, and riches boast of. Study the temptation and sin of Eve and the temptation of Christ, and you will see that the temptations of each are very similar. Jesus was tempted in the same ways and in the same areas that we are, yet he remained perfectly holy. Although our corrupt nature will show a desire to participate in some sins, we have the ability to overcome sin because we are no longer the slaves of sin but the children of God.